Hello and welcome to the next part of my tutorial series. We're going to implement another kind of trigger box. This time we're only going to open the door if we've already collected a key. So we're first of all going to create the key to be collected. I'm going to go ahead and open up my Piskel here and very quickly make a new sprite which will be for our key. So I'm just going to go ahead and make this green key. Here it is. It's my best work to date. Let's fill it out a little bit. All right, I'm going to go ahead and export this out as a sprite. We're going to go ahead and drag this in. And we're going to call this key asset. I'm going to right click on it and create two sprite actions. Apply to do paper settings. And of course, create the sprite. Then we're going to make a blueprint class of an actor. This will be a key. So when I have my key open here, I'm going to go ahead and of course add my sprite again. So I've got my sprite paper sprite component, changing the source sprite to be that of the key. And we also want collision on this. So we're going to go ahead and add a box collider, paper sprite, box collider to the paper sprite as well. So roughly the same shape. There we go. And we're going to want to collect the key whenever we overlap. So we're going to check again that it's the player cast to, paper character. And we'll cast the other actor that we overlap with, just like with all our other trigger boxes. This time, instead of deleting and destroying the thing that we overlap with, in this case the player, we're just going to destroy ourselves, which will be the default value of destroyed actor. Let's go ahead and stick our key somewhere. So I'm going to go ahead and drag my key blueprint into the scene, set the y-axis value to 0 again as always, and go ahead and maneuver it so that it is in front of where the player could perhaps move to. I'm going to set this scaling to 5.7 as I have with the others. So there's our key. I'm going to go ahead and play the game and see what happens. I can go collect this key. Though I may want this collider to be a little tighter because at the moment you collect it from quite a distance. You can of course manipulate the scale of the collider itself to your heart's content. Let's launch it now and see if that looks a little better. So I have to get a bit closer to the key to collect it. That makes sense. So now that I've collected the key, I want a green door to open. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my door here. Let's make a green one so that it matches the color of the key. I'm going to save this out. Drag this in here. Call it green door asset. Oops, not green door. We will apply to do paper settings. We'll create the sprite. And now we basically kind of have to do the same thing that we did already with our red door, except this time we're only going to open the door if we have collected the key. So I'm going to drag this in, set it to 7.5, set its Y value, set its Y value and its scale X, Y, and Z to 7.5, set its Y value position to 0. So here's our green door. Have to make sure you can't jump over it, but that's something we can tweak forever. So we're going to create a new type of door trigger. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new blueprint class. It'll be an actor. We'll call this door requires key. We will open this up. We will add our collider box. So you should be familiar with this by now. We'll do our overlap check that we're overlapping with the player. So cast to player. No, paper character. Cast to paper character. There it is there. But now, unlike the regular door where we just go ahead and immediately loop over our elements and turn them all off, we're going to first create a branch statement based on a Boolean value. So the Boolean value at the moment is default by true. We're going to create a variable which is has key because we only want the door to open if we do in fact have the key. So if we do have the key, then we will do the door open, otherwise nothing will happen. Let's also make this visible, why not? And let's go ahead and look back at our door trigger script to see what we did to delete all the doors. This time we'll just have one door element, so we don't actually have to have an entire array for that. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a variable, which will be for our door. And we'll do, again, the paper sprite actor. Make sure it's the actor, not the sprite itself, because it's an entire actor for it. We could make it an array and loop over it, but for now we'll just use it as a single object. So we'll get this and we'll destroy the actor directly without using the loop, because it's just one thing. You don't loop over one thing. You loop over the array of different things. So here we go. We've got our has key, which is going to be false by default, so that you can't do this. So we need to somehow turn our Boolean value from false to true. So whenever we collect the key, not only should we be destroying the key, but we should also be setting the Boolean value of this door requires key script blueprint to be true. So to get that interaction happening, we need a reference via a variable. So I'm going to create a variable, and this will be the door trigger variable. And this will be of a type of blueprint, which is the door requires key, the one that we made ourselves as an object reference. Now, whenever we destroy the actor, we're also going to go ahead and drag this out, and we're going to set the has key. So we're going to set has key to true. So we're going to click on the tick box here, and we of course need this to actually happen. So basically what's going to happen is that we're going to get the has key from this other blueprint and set it so that we then have the key. But to do that, we're going to have to make this visible, this door trigger variable visible, compile it, compile everything, compile. We're going to bring on our door requires door requires key, set it to 0, set its position scale to 0.7.5, position it in front of the screen door. And now that we have an instance of this blueprint in the world, we can go ahead and click on our green key, and we should see the door trigger here, which we can now set to that particular door requires key. We could also use this little pick actor and apply it here, like so. So if we go ahead and play the game now, we should be able to go down to the bottom here and not be able to open the door. I'm not sure if we can get back just because of the design. So let's go ahead and pick up our green key now. And now if we go back, we should be able to open the door, though that doesn't appear to be happening. While the game is still running, I'm going to go ahead and check the state of our has key to see if anything has changed. So I'm going to go find my door trigger. Door requires key. But of course, we've forgotten to do something. We've forgotten to set up the value of the door itself. So I'm going to go to my key. The door requires key. And the door we need to make visible. And that way, whenever we compile it, we can then see that this door now has none as its value, which we'll have to set to make sure that we set to our green door asset so that it will actually turn something off. In this case, it will actually turn off the green door now, hopefully. Let's go ahead and grab my green key. Go down here, and you can see now I've opened the green door. I haven't really been doing much level design at the moment at all. This is a terrible level. You can't, if you miss the green key, you can't get back up to get it. You'll definitely want to use this functionality to design a much better level. But we've now got our functionality check marked. So we've got a door that we can just open normally. And now we've got a door that requires a key. So we've got our Boolean with a big X on top of it. So the next thing we have to do is create a collectible. We've sort of already created a collectible with our key. So I'm going to create an X on that. But for the next lot of stuff, we're going to want to have a HUD, which is a heads-up display. We're going to want all this other stuff. So in the next tutorial, we're going to be jumping into our UI